afternoon. I call this meeting to order. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to briefly mention the introduction of the Interior Improvement Act, which was yesterday, 1879. This is a bill that clarifies existing law and streamlines outdated, cumbersome, and costly land into trust processes within the Department of Interior. It's the result of significant work and collaboration, and I want to thank all of the members and stakeholders for their contribution to this effort. So today we'll consider S-383, the Indian Trust Asset Reform Act, and S-732, a bill to amend the Act of June 18, 1934, to reaffirm the authority of the Secretary of Interior to take land into trust for Indian tribes. Senator Crapo's bill, S-383, the Indian Trust Asset Reform Act, was referred to this committee on February. In July, we held an oversight hearing to discuss trust modernization and reform matters. We heard about the United States' solemn obligation to ensure that Indian trust assets benefit Indian people. Senator Crapo, would you like to make a statement before the committee takes up the bill?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this business meeting today to consider S-83, the Indian Trust Asset Reform Act. I greatly appreciate the committee's work to get us to this point, and I know that tribal stakeholders in Idaho as well as across the country are thankful as well. In the interest of time, I'll provide a brief overview of the legislation before the committee. S-383 would allow tribes on a voluntary basis to submit long-term management plans for tribal assets held in trust to promote economic activity and Indian self-determination. Under the bill, the Secretary of the Interior would have the authority to approve such tribally directed asset management plans. Further, the bill would also provide for reforms to the management structure within the Department of Interior to reduce regulatory red tape that tribes face when trying to utilize trust resources. The bill would also require a report to be submitted to Congress on the asset management functions and roles of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Office of the Special Trustee, or OST. S-383 has been endorsed by the National Congress of American Indians, the affiliated tribes of the Northwest Indians, the United South and Eastern Tribes, and the Intertribal Timber Council. Once again, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for holding this business meeting.
Any other members have any opening statement with regard to S-383 at this time? Hearing none, we'll now take up S-383, the Indian Trust Asset Reform Act. One amendment has been filed for the bill. Senator Crapo is offering an amendment, number JAC 15B04. The memo to the committee explains this amendment. Senator Crapo, anything additional you'd like to add about the amendment?
Yes, just briefly, Mr. Chairman, and I will keep my remarks brief. Since S-383 was introduced, we've been working with tribal stakeholders, House and Senate committees, and federal agencies to address concerns and recommendations that have been shared, as well as to incorporate feedback received during the hearings on the bill in both chambers. The substitute amendment I'm offering today incorporates a number of technical and clarifying corrections to ease the consideration and approval of trust asset management demonstration projects. Further, the amendment seeks to ensure that the demonstration project properly accounts for existing Indian self-governance and environmental review laws. Finally, the substitute amendment provides additional opportunities for tribes that may not wish to participate in the demonstration project and bolsters the liability protections for the federal government. In closing, we've made a great improvement to this bill since it's been introduced, and I appreciate the committee's consideration of this substitute amendment.
Thank you, Senator Crapo. I'd like to now move to consider amendment number JAC 15B04. Any discussion? Is there a second?
Second.
Being no discussion, all those in favor, please by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the amendment passes. Now for a vote on the bill itself. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. The bill passes. Next, the committee will take up S-732, a bill to amend the Act of June 18, 1934, to reaffirm the authority of the Secretary of Interior to take land into trust. Senator Tester introduced the bill in March. Vice Chairman Tester, I call on you at this time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having this business meeting. Earlier this year, I did introduce S-732, which would address the problems created by the Supreme Court's 2009 Kacheri decision. I think that case was wrongly decided. I think it created two classes of tribes in our country and called into question countless trust land acquisitions made by the Secretary. Tribes have been vocal about fixing this decision ever since that case was decided. It remains a unresolved priority for tribes in this country. The fact that we haven't been able to address this issue yet certainly prevents the committee from focusing more attention on other issues facing Indian country. So I introduced S-732 along with 7 bipartisan co-sponsors, including members of this committee. and I want to thank them for this support. That being said, I understand that you, Chairman Barrasso, have now introduced a bill that would also address Kacheri. I believe that tribes have always wanted two things in a Kacheri fix: a reaffirmation of the past land in the trust decisions, which will provide certainty to tribes for their existing lands, and reaffirmation of the Secretary's authority to take land into trust for all tribes, with an emphasis on all, without any greater limitations on that authority than those that existed prior to the Kacheri decision. Now, I'm still reviewing your bill, Mr. Chairman, but I think it maintains those two goals, and I applaud your efforts on that. So I hope everybody can look this bill over at the recess, and it's possible that you found a way to move forward on this bill. So I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your attention to this issue, and I hope to work with you on getting a land in the trust fix finally enacted for the tribes. I think it's a priority. It should be a priority. With that, I will withdraw 732 from consideration to allow everyone time to review your bill. Hopefully, when we come back in September, we'll have a clear pathway forward. I would just say one more thing. I was somewhat critical last business meeting we had on a bill that we took up without a hearing. On this particular issue, we've had a number of hearings. I'm not sure we need another one on Kacheri. We know the issue, we know it well, and if we can get a bill moving, I think that is a high priority. So with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, but I will withdraw 732 from consideration.
Thank you very much, Senator Tester. I look forward to continued collaboration on this important issue. Consideration of S-732 is withdrawn. I want to thank the members for getting the business of our committee completed expeditiously. I ask unanimous consent